Hello, I'm Andrew Pritchard, and thank you for watching today's Northeast Regional Forecast brought to you by Nutrient Ag Solutions. So you look at the last 72 hours of precipitation, we've seen things relatively dry anywhere from the Central Plains across the Eastern Corn Belt into the Northeast region, where we've seen spotty showers and thunderstorms in some areas here, but a lot of folks remaining dry over the last 3 days overall. When we look at the jet stream picture here on Friday morning, we continue to watch this broader ridge overall in the flow over the western United States. Continue to watch little troughs kind of ride along over the top of that, bringing chances for showers and storms anywhere through parts of the northern plains into parts of the Great Lakes and eventually perhaps parts of those reaching into the Northeast region. So you look at the satellite picture here, the infrared satellite picture on Friday morning. So looking at the cloud top temperatures, we can see this first trough, this first storm system making its way through the Canadian prairies right now, with the front kind of extending off to the south into parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin. Some showers and storms ongoing in that region. Continue to see the clockwise flow around this area of high pressure over the western United States. And over here, across parts of the southeast into the Gulf of Mexico, we've got this frontal boundary still stalled out in the region, with showers and storms developing along that. So you look at the radar picture, what's going on underneath those clouds. Here are the showers and storms across parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin, the storms along that frontal boundary from the Gulf Coast into the southeast. And then as we head through the afternoon, you'll see these thunderstorms flaring back up over this region of high pressure in the desert southwest. Now here's the surface picture here on Friday morning. Again, here is the area of low pressure over the Canadian prairies with that frontal boundary extending into parts of the Dakotas, parts of the upper Midwest. As we head through the weekend, this first wave will continue to move off to the east slowly, and we'll see this frontal boundary kind of stall out across the region. So we'll be watching for showers and storms to continue to develop across parts of the northern plains into the upper Midwest. High pressure holding on over parts of the Northeast region, or over the entire Northeast region at least, as we head through the weekend. The high-resolution NAM model, now the precipitation forecast that takes us out through the majority of the weekend here. We'll go ahead and play it. You'll see showers and storms flaring up, mostly in this region here from the northern plains into the Great Lakes. The thunderstorm activity continuing on this frontal boundary, and then again you'll see the afternoon pulsing of the convection over the desert southwest. So here it is. We'll go ahead and play this, take the last of the drawings off, and at the end of the loop, you see this first frontal boundary, this first wave, start to make its way into parts of the Northeast region. So as we get into the day on Sunday, perhaps some isolated to scattered shower and storm activity over parts of the northern Northeast region here, talking about northern New York State into parts of Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine as we get into Sunday afternoon. Also watching now the next area, the next disturbance that's traveling over the top of the ridge, and that will ride along this frontal boundary, taking it into parts of the Great Lakes, parts of the Eastern Corn Belt, and then eventually parts of the Northeast region early to middle next week. Total accumulated precipitation from that run of the high-resolution NAM model. Again, you're looking at the Northeast region here, seeing just isolated to scattered shower and storm activity. Many folks remaining dry, but some perhaps getting a downpour as we head through the weekend. The primary region watching for more widespread shower and storm activity continues to be this region back to the west. No severe weather in the forecast across the Northeast region. We're starting off with Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday down toward the bottom here again, keeping things kind of over towards that frontal boundary, back toward the northern plains into the upper Midwest. Now, where are we going beyond that? We'll look at the European long-range model, the forecast with the overall look here at 500 millibars. Again, as we start on Friday, watching this broad ridge overall over the western United States, with these disturbances riding over the top of that through the Canadian prairies into the Great Lakes, ridging as you head over toward the Northeast region as well, keeping things warmer and quiet as we head off to the beginning of the weekend here. But let's go ahead, we'll step through time, we'll get this thing playing. I'll wait till the scroller appears here and we'll bring it back to Friday. So we head through the weekend. We're continuing to watch this next disturbance now here coming through early next week. This is one that may bring the first rain to parts of the Eastern Corn Belt in quite some time, a couple of weeks at least. This pushes into parts of the Northeast region and kind of washes out as we get into the middle to later part of next week. We start to see this ridge beginning to kind of rebuild and amplify over the western United States with troughing as we talk about the eastern United States, and this may mean a resumption or a return to a cooler pattern across the Northeast region as we get into the first few days of August. And if you believe the GFS model, it's got a more significant trough event going on over the eastern United States, perhaps an even cooler pattern. So as we look off to the first few days of August, perhaps trending a bit cooler across the Northeast region. Here's a look at the temperature anomaly forecast over the next 7 to 10 days, again focusing on the Northeast region here. Starting off pretty close to average here. Some folks a few degrees above, some are a few degrees below as we begin the weekend. I'm going to go ahead and bring it back here, and we'll start things off heading through the weekend, keeping things warmer overall until we get into the middle part of next week as that front moves through Wednesday and Thursday, getting a reinforcing shot of cooler temperatures, but early to midweek, going to be holding on to some warmer temperature biases. As we head into the time period beyond that, so getting beyond August 4th and 5th, we're starting to see this area of cooler temperature anomalies starting to build off to the north. And whether or not we see that spill into the region, that is one of the big question marks we have as we go through the first week of August. The precipitation forecast, though, we'll go ahead and we'll show you what we see here. We'll play this out for the next 7 to 10 days. Again, watching for, bring this back to Friday, this first storm system now bringing showers and storms to Minnesota and Wisconsin as we begin the weekend, Friday and Saturday. This pushes into the region as we get into Sunday, perhaps bringing isolated to scattered showers and storms to the northern portions of the Northeast region as we get into late Sunday and Monday. As we head through the rest of the week, here comes the next stronger disturbance. Again, you see it bringing some of these scattered showers and storms to the eastern Corn Belt Monday and Tuesday. And that sweeps a front through the region here Wednesday and Thursday. That may bring another more significant round of showers and storms to the Northeast region. So again, perhaps some light precipitation over the week, watching Wednesday and Thursday for a more significant shot of precipitation as that front swings through the area with high pressure on the backside. Now, as we transition again into the first week of August, if we do see the ridge kind of setting up in a more amplified fashion over the west with troughing over the eastern United States, that may set up a corridor here where we start to bring some shower and storm activity back into the Northeast region. So again, perhaps a cooler and wetter pattern lingering as we look out beyond the first week of August, beyond August 4th and 5th, but some huge disagreements between the GFS and the European model. So I want to kind of hold off on confidence with that until we get into next week. Taking it out here with the precipitation forecast from the European model, I'm going to take it back and we'll bring it out through about Wednesday and Thursday, because this is where my confidence really begins to fall off, is beyond this point. But we see the frontal boundary move through the Northeast region Wednesday and Thursday. That delivers some precipitation right here. That's what you're seeing accumulating. But notice the scattered nature overall. Again, this is not a widespread dumping of significant precipitation. This is some folks getting downpours, others remaining mostly dry overall, as we talk about scattered thunderstorms moving through the region Wednesday and Thursday. Beyond that, I mentioned I've got very low confidence. We see a more significant system kind of sweep through the eastern Corn Belt here over the next weekend, so August 3rd, 4th, and 5th. But this is a new feature that just appeared on the most recent weather model. And so again, that's just a kind of a symptom of low confidence here. You get kind of big changes run to run with low confidence overall. But the confidence is high enough, at least as we get through Wednesday and Thursday, that I can say that this is probably the nature of how things are going to be looking across the Northeast region, with scattered precipitation, but light-ish overall as we head through the next week in the Northeast region. Some of the differences here between the European model: the European is on the left, the GFS is on the right. The differences become more exaggerated as we get towards the end of the loop, as you would expect. I'll show you what that looks like. Good agreement overall as we start off. We've got this area of high pressure over the west. We've got these systems kind of tracking along over the top of the ridge. As we head through the early part of next week, we're into Monday now, still got good agreement. The ridge kind of begins to rebuild across the middle part of the country. Here's where the differences start to get a little more exaggerated. On the GFS, we're seeing more exaggerated trough over the Gulf Coast as we get into Friday of next week. You don't see that look here on the right or on the left with the European model. And then as we get into next weekend, we start to see the GFS want to play between this upper level trough over the Northeast, over parts of Quebec and Ontario, kind of connecting that with the trough over the Gulf Coast, which would lead to certainly more significant troughing over the eastern United States, whereas the GFS or the European model on the left, without the more exaggerated look over the Gulf Coast, keep things a little bit more flatter overall, a little less amplified. And that's what might mean a closer to average, not so stormy pattern across the Northeast, where it is on the right. This might be a cooler pattern with more storm chances across the area that's circled there from the eastern Corn Belt into the Northeast region. If you were hoping for more agreement overnight, that did not happen. We've got the European model on the left and then the GFS on the right. Now you see a very significant play between those two features on the latest run of the GFS. And whether or not you want to put too much stock into that or just kind of toss it is up to the individual meteorologist. I'm just showing you a kind of a look behind the scenes just to show you the low confidence that we're dealing with between some of the more significant long-term weather models that we look at, again, as we try and piece together what we're looking at as we head into the first part of August. High temperatures to wrap things up here, looking at the the upper 70s to the lower 80s for the day on Friday. Getting a little bit warmer for the day on Saturday and Sunday. Monday warmer still. Tuesday, we're starting to see that frontal boundary push into the region, so I don't have Wednesday on there, but if I were to, you'd see another kind of reinforcing shot of cooler air sweeping across the region as we head into the middle to the late part of next week. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the evolution of the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Monday morning ag forecast video, and I'll have your next Northeast regional outlook on Tuesday. Have a great day and a wonderful weekend.